We're starting off with our stuffed pork belly, and we're going to do the filling first. So I've got a pan. It is hot already, so I'm going to put in some olive oil, and I am going to start frying the stuff that I'm going to use for my stuffing. So I've got some onion and I've got some Julene carrots. Once my onions are translucent, I am going to go in with a tablespoon of crushed garlic. So I've got a teaspoon here, so I'm just going to put in 2 heaped teaspoons to make my tablespoon, and I'm going to mix all of this in as well. To that, I bought some sun-dried tomato paste, and I am going to put in 2 tablespoons of this. So that's going to be 4 teaspoons. This is delicious, guys. Sun-dried tomatoes. And I'm going to mix this in as well. And while I'm allowing that to cook, I've got a rainbow grinder from Tea's Cooking Addiction. And this is amazing. It basically has salt, pepper, chili flakes, the whole 9 yards. So this is what I'm going to use as seasoning. So I'm just going to grind that in. I'm going to go in with a tablespoon of this grind. And then now that all of this has combined, I am going to put in some baby spinach. And I have washed my spinach, and I'm just going to throw this in here, and I'm going to cook this very, very quickly, like 5 minutes at max. I'm just going to keep stirring it. I'm going to continuously stir it. My spinach has wilted, and this is how far I want it. This didn't even take 5 minutes. I just kept stirring it until it wilted. So now this is done, and I'm going to take it off the heat. And I'm going to start. So here I have my pork belly. It's a beautiful cut of meat. And what I have done is I've basically washed it, and I have wiped my crackling dry with a paper towel. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to score my crackling so that I can get a beautiful design on it when it's done cooking. So I'm just going to score it into strips. Now that I have scored my crackling, so I just made it into these stripes. I'm not doing a lattice or anything. That is fine. I am going to do my spice rub that I'm going to use for my pork belly. So I am going to go in with 2 tablespoons of BBQ spice. This is one kind of BBQ spice. I'll be using 2 different. I've got this from Tea, so I want to try this out. Smoky barbecue and honey sprinkle. Also going to put in 2 tablespoons of this mixture as well. Then to that, I've got some smoked paprika. And I'm going to put in a tablespoon of smoked paprika. So I prefer that when you make a spice rub, this is my dry spice rub, you mix it all in a bowl, so that you can get an equal distribution of all the spices all over your meat. Then I went in with 1 tablespoon of Italian herbs. I'm going to go in with a teaspoon of dried ginger, a teaspoon of crushed garlic, and some salt. I've got herbal salt. I'm going to go in with a 1/4 teaspoon, and then I am also going to go in with some pepper. I'm gonna grind in pepper. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to then mix everything together. I'm going to take my rub and I'm going to spread it all over the crackling, and I'm going to also push it in with my hands in between the slots that I created when I was carving it. So I'm just going to do that, and just like so. You know, it's not going to hold a lot of the rub, the crackling, and reason being because remember I wiped it dry with my paper towel, right? Because the way to get a nice crisp crackling is for you to have dry pork. Is this skin? Yeah, pork skin. It needs to be nice and dry so that your crackling can actually be, yeah, nice and crackling. Okay, then I'm just going to turn it over, and at least the side is more wet, as you can see. And then I'm going to sprinkle that. Wow, my sprinkling skills are bad, but anyway, you get the gist of it. So I'm going to cover every inch of the meat with my rub. And then while I'm busy doing this, I have preheated my oven. It is preheating currently at 180 degrees, so that by the time that I am done with all of this, I can put my pork into the oven. And make sure please that you preheat your oven. It's a very important step. So then just press in all that mix to make sure that nothing actually comes up. So there we go, I've got my belly here, and what I'm now going to do is I'm going to put in the stuffing, and I have to roll it, right? So I'm going to do that. So here's my stuffing. It's cooled, so I'm going to take some of it and I'm going to layer it on my pork belly. And then what you must also try and do is you must just try and spread everything out evenly. You don't want the spinach only sitting on one side of your meat. So just make sure that you portion everything out nicely, and just pat it in. And then now I am going to roll. So just try and push everything in as well as you're rolling. I'm going to tie my pork belly. So this is a very messy process, as you can see. So just try and tie it, and tie it tight. What I'm going to do is some of that rub that came off, I'm just going to replace it. I've got a little bit more left here. Just going to re-rub some of it, you know, just to make sure that everything is nicely coated. Now that my pork belly has been rolled, I have taken it and I have put it onto my baking tray with a rack on, and I'm going to put this into a 180 degree oven for 1 hour 30 minutes. So just keep checking it, but that's usually how long it's going to take to cook. So see you after then. So our pork belly roast, it is out of the oven, and can you see how beautiful it looks? Like, look at that. And as you can see, those sculpted lines, you know, they add that depth into the presentation of how this pork belly looks like, right? So I am now going to cut into my meat. I'm just going to cut the twine out. You don't want people eating rope, you know. Look at how gorgeous that looks. Can you see the stuffing inside? This is your pork belly, your stuffed pork belly. Hope you enjoy it.